Welcome to another edition of Rational Alchemy, though today I think we should probably call ourselves Rational Morsels. I'm joined today by Chef Keith Denard Jones. Keith, welcome to the studios.
Nigel, thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here, and let me tell you, I love your accent.
I am not the one with the accent. I am the only one here that actually speaks English.
You can call it whatever you want, man. I am a sucker for accents, so I could talk to you all day until the cows come home. So I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, it is good to have you here. Most importantly, though, let's not forget why you are here. Well done. This book is an autobiography. It's absolutely fascinating, but it's not a cookbook. Why an autobiography?
You know, that's a great question, and I'm going to tell you, earlier in my career, I thought about legacy, and I was one of the ones who was really into competitions as a chef, and let me get my name and notoriety. You go compete. That's how you build your name. You build your brand. You go compete, shows, culinary salons, whatever. And I was fortunate enough to win a lot of medals, gold, silver, first place, everything, and after a certain point in my career, they ended up being fancy decorations on the wall. Or, as a friend of mine once told me, Claudio Ferrer, may he rest in peace, dust collectors. So when he said that, the light switch went on in my head, and I said, legacy, let me compile my stories and leave something to the younger generation, the future generations, to help them throughout their culinary journey.
Okay, now it's interesting because you mentioned about the fact that you entered a lot of competitions and all the rest of it, but why on earth did you decide to become a chef in the first place?
You know, as I think about my career, and I thought about it a lot, I came from a broken home. Broken home meaning my dad was an alcoholic, he was pretty violent, and he left us. And I'm making a claim right here, right now. I am the ultimate mama's boy. So I have an older brother and an older sister, and my mother worked at Ford Motor Companies all throughout the week. She worked afternoon shifts, so 3 to 11, she was gone. I, being the ultimate mama's boy, she cooked that Sunday meal that would hopefully provide us with leftovers through the week, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday. I stopped playing with my friends. I came in from outside, and I was right by my mother's side while she was cooking. And so I guess that was the first impression. Then we lost our home throughout our childhood, and I ended up staying with my grandmother. And the same thing, my grandmother was a stay-at-home mom, cooking for my grandfather, and I'm there coming home from school, so I'm by my grandmother's side. Mother, grandmother, giving me all that love, man. And here I am today.
It's interesting because your book is called Well Done, which means that I suppose if you write another one, it'll be called Underdone, and if you write a third one, it'll be called Overdone.
It's funny that you would mention that. So I have the Well Done story for you. It's actually in the book. Kid of color in the suburbs. I'm born and raised in Detroit, so Birmingham is where my career started. And my mentor, his name is Edward Janos, fascinating master chef. He is the ultimate. So I walked into his kitchen right out of high school, no skills whatsoever. Now, fast forward, they used to feed the staff a meal at the end of the shift every day. And coming from the city, a kid completely different and devoid of any kind of like knowledge of how nice, fancy people eat, I never ate because I'm like, I don't eat like that. So I was always afraid to eat. So after I got 90 days in, which is a plant mentality, born and raised in Detroit, 90 days, you can't mess with me now, so I'm good. Okay, yeah, I'll take a meal. So they made filet, green beans, and rice, okay? So they gave me the plate, and probably like 5 minutes for me to clean my area before I ate. Then there was a pool of blood underneath the filet. And I said, chef, excuse me, but this steak, I need it to be well done. There's too much blood on this plate. He goes, listen, that steak is the perfect medium rare. You're going to eat it just like that. So I said, okay, chef, the green beans on my plate, they too green. I need them like they come out the can. He said, those haricots are perfect al dente. You will eat them just like that. And then I said, okay, so chef, can I have some gravy for my rice? And then he got his feet where they touched mine, and he pointed his finger in my face. He said, if you ever call my sauce a gravy again, you'll be fired, right? And so I said, okay, I don't eat like that, so I don't think I'll have that. So that's the inspiration for Well Done.
What is the difference between a sauce and a gravy then?
So let me tell you, the gravy is flour-based, and the sauce is pretty much reduction-based. And it takes time. So, you know, you can do a scratch gravy, right, from the pan drippings in the pan, the skillet, whatever. But then the sauce is a little more composed, and it just takes time. But I can go either way, man. I'm well-versed in either.
I see. Of course, the French invented sauces just to hide the rancid odor of the meat.
Listen.
Hopefully we're not doing that today.
No. And the godfather is Auguste Escoffier. So in my training, the chef told me, hey, you get Escoffier, you read that, that's going to be the foundation of how you learn. And so I'm partial. I was classically French trained, so it's great that you pointed that out. You on point, Nigel. You are on point, sir.
While writing this book, and I know it probably took a lot of time to actually put this together, think about it, did you discover anything about yourself while you were writing this?
You know, one of the things that I learned is I'm probably the most impatient person you'll ever meet in your life. And throughout the process, writing and editing and getting it all together, I learned patience. You know, it came first and foremost to me that you learn patience over your life. That's one thing. And then the second thing is that I was real fortunate to watch others make mistakes and learn from them making the mistakes opposed to me making the mistakes myself.
Though, of course, there is nothing wrong with making mistakes, providing you learn from it.
That's the key.
And that's the key.
That is the key. And I tell everybody, you want to know the difference between me and you? I made more mistakes than you.
When we were chatting just before we started to do recording, you told me a nice story, and I'd like you to recap it. When you were at school, I know that you were learning cooking all the way through middle school.
Correct.
What happened when you got into high school?
So, you know, in middle school, I had a teacher that I adopted. So I was fortunate enough to have God-placed male mentor figures in my life at critical times. So when I was in grade school, being devoid of my dad, I adopted my teacher. His name was Duncan McLeod. May he rest in peace. He was a fascinating man. But he took our class, and it was 32 kids in our class, and he says, I'm not going to put you on a traditional track. I'm going to do something different with you. So one of the things that he did, he took the males out of phys ed sports, and he put us in typing, foods, and sewing. And I went in there kicking and screaming. I don't want to do that. But the school didn't have proper ventilation, right? So when it came time for foods, we baked cookies and brownies. The aroma went through the school. So I'm walking around, you want some cookies? You want some brownies? I got the goods. So I had a little bit of power, and I understood that, right? So now I wanted to be a doctor. So I went to the most advanced high school in the city of Detroit at the time. It was called Cass Tech. It was an old factory that they turned into a high school. And at the time, I'll tell you, I had 6,500 kids in the whole school and 1,938 students in my freshman class. So
Good
it was like a
grief.
little university, right? So I go in there, they look on my records, and they say, Keith, you have foods. So I know you want to be a doctor, but we need males in the foods program, so we're going to put you in foods. And I went in there, I don't want to do this kicking and screaming. I don't want to do that. But then I'm in the class, I'm the only man in the class. Now, all those students, it was 9-to-1, females to males, okay? So now I'm walking down the class and I have these junior and senior girls. How you doing, Keith? How you doing, Keith? And my boy's looking at me like, you're God. How do these girls know your name? And I said, we're in the foods class together. Boom. So the power was squared right then. And I knew the old saying, the fastest way to someone's heart is through their stomach. So
Sold.
done.
Let's talk about food for a little bit. I don't think people actually realize how important it is to prepare the food correctly. It's only recently that I've discovered, and I should have known this, but it's only recently I've discovered you never put, say, a roast beef directly from the fridge into the oven.
Correct.
Bring it out, let it stand on the side for about
Correct.
3 or 4 hours, bring
Correct.
it up to room temperature,
Correct.
then start the cooking process.
Correct. Temper
And
your meat.
Absolutely true, and I never realized this.
Right.
And do you know why I didn't realize this? I was taught to cook by my grandmother. Grandma did not have a refrigerator. She kept everything in the larder.
Yep.
That's when they knew how to build houses with larders that stayed cool in summer. So, of course, she never had a problem. Straight out of the larder, straight into the oven.
Correct.
Anyway, let's talk about preparation. Why does it truly matter, except for what I've just mentioned?
So, a real good way to look at things is like this. You don't put the fries in the fryer and turn it on. You don't put the cake in the oven and turn it on, right?
Right.
You preheat the fryer. You preheat the oven. That's almost kind of like the foundation. So in your example, you talked about, hey, we're going to bring this meat to temperature. And it's almost like for a good description will be like, if we had a head of lettuce and we wanted to wash the lettuce, hey, we got to get the soil out of the lettuce. If we were to run cold water, the pores would lock up like this, actually holding the soil in, opposed to if we had warm water, it will open up the pores to release it, to let it go. So the same thing happens if you're going to do, your meat example. We want to get a good sear. We want to get a good sear on the outside because we want to lock the juices in on the inside, right? So letting it come to room temperature assists us with that, and it makes it so much better. It's almost like, for a lack of a different description, coming right out of the refrigerator into a hot pan, the meat will go through like a thermal shock, and everything would seize up like this.
Right.
Opposed to relaxing and opening up and let the sear happen.
You do realize that when I get home, I'm going to have an argument now. Because when I tell Jackie, my wife, that she's been cleaning lettuce wrong all these years, she's going to get really upset with me. Anyway, have you ever found the recipe? The one that you read it and went, wow.
Yes and no. And I would say yes from everything that was, I told you, I was brought up with under Escoffier. Mm-hmm. And I look at him like he's the godfather. Everything classic, but everything in there is spot on. You won't have anything wrong. And then when I say no, you go through history, you go through time, and people are creating recipes and doing their things. And it's so many times published recipes have errors. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to suggest and recommend to all the listeners, all the viewers, that read a recipe all the way from beginning to end and make sure you understand it. Because it could be some misprints first. And then secondly, if you don't understand it, you don't want to get stuck while you're in process. You want to figure it out so you can go from beginning to end without any glitches. Even if it might not be right, but just go from beginning to end without any glitches so you make sure you understand it. So I'm a stickler for, when I write recipes, reading, proofreading, editing, dialing it down, and make it to where like anyone that is comfortable or familiar in the kitchen can pick it up and go from beginning to end and understand their complete process.
You raise an interesting point there, and it's something that I'd never thought about, but it'd be so easy to make a mistake like 1 teaspoon of salt compared to 1 tablespoon of salt.
Correct.
That could be very hard to find it's very difficult to proofread your own work.
Yes.
Very difficult.
Yes, so you have to have a team. If you're in the culinary space and you're doing a cookbook or anything like that, you have to have a real competent team around you so you can hand it over to someone and let them critique, edit, proofread it, and then get it back to you, and then you reread it. Does this make sense? And then you keep going back and forth.
Back and forth on it until it makes absolute sense. Yeah. I think one of the hardest things I've actually cooked is a Bakewell Tart from England. And it's quite a complicated little recipe, and it's a lot of fun to make. But boy, you get it right, tastes wonderful.
And that is it, and I tell people all the time, we are all critics. We know what we like. We know what we don't like. We don't have to leave our taste, buds, sensations, or anything else up to anybody. I try to judge recipes. Is it worth the effort?
Right.
You know, is it worth the effort? And the way the world has changed, one thing that I don't think we have the luxury of is extra time. So sometimes you can go into the kitchen, hey, 15, 20 minutes, I got to get something competent, healthy on the table. Then other times it's like, oh, it's the weekend, I can take my time and I can really get involved with this and make it happen. And it's almost like, as far as equipment or utensils are concerned, you'll have a crock pot. Man, throw that stuff in there, turn it on, come back 5, 6, 7 hours. It is what it is. And then you have those ninja cookers, 15, 18 minutes. Make those wings fast, cook right now. So, you know, it's our mentality, and it's unfortunate that life is so fast that we really don't have the luxury to cook and go through the steps that we once did in our mother or grandmother's day.
Right, because time has become a very, very precious commodity.
Correct.
Unfortunately, over the last couple of years, we've had rather too much time on our hands. How did the pandemic affect your side of the business? I mean, we have seen so many restaurants having to close and cafes having to close and just a disaster.
Yes, God bless them all, and that's such an excellent question, and so on point to the time that we're living in right now. You know, March of 20, the world stopped, and never in a million years could you have told me a restaurant would not be open to serve food.
Right.
I never would have believed that so many unfortunate culinarians that have been decimated by the industry just because people couldn't sit close to one another, they couldn't congregate, they couldn't do any kind of in-person activities or any of that. It's so contradictory to how we live, right? So now these restaurants closed, and restaurants survived on such slim margins to begin with, so they didn't have the financial wherewithal to sustain it. Right, so they had to close. So now, you know, we are hopefully coming out of it, getting on the other side. And the restaurants that did survive, they need so much mental support, because you think about it. When I can't serve people, now I got to try to figure out a to-go program. Okay, so you can't sit in my restaurant, come here and pick it up and take it home. So now my restaurant wasn't built like that, so I have to do that right on the fly. And then it's going to be extended period, so not like a month, not like 2 months, not like 3. We're in the second year of this thing.
That's right.
So how does that work, right? Can I get a beverage menu and program to go along with that, so I can sell alcoholic beverages? That's to go. It wasn't any rules for that. Actually, it wasn't even allowed. So, you know, government has to get involved to see if they can try to offer these other revenue streams for these restaurants. And then, okay, people can't come to work. So now how do you be able to staff your operation so you can provide the service that the people want? And God bless all the people who support the restaurants. They were so open to doing it, but the restaurant couldn't go from a full stop to a full go. So it's been such a struggle, and never has it been more critical to understand we're all in this together.
I just wish other people would understand that.
Yes.
We as a society, and it doesn't matter whether you're on the left, on the right, in the middle, it doesn't matter. We have to get through this.
Correct.
By any means possible.
Right. And I've, you know, I try to the little local restaurants in my neighborhood, I try to support them and do everything I can, tipping 20, 30, 40%. It's just like, please stay open. Please stay open. Please stay open, because I feel your pain.
Right. Let's move on to something a little bit more fun
Okay.
after talking about the pandemic, because I think we're all very, very edgy about it still. You've done a lot of TV work. Oh, yeah, baby. Bar Rescue.
Correct. So that was a fantastic experience. You know, I had some content floating around online. One of the producers got in touch with me, and I thought I was being punked. Like, what? You want me to come and do Bar Rescue? So I did an interview online, and then I did a Zoom portion of the interview. And up until that point, I thought I was being punked, but then it was just like, no, we have a ticket for you. You're going to come out here. It was in California. We have a ticket for you waiting at DIA. You're going to come out to the airport. We're going to fly you to California, and boom, it is on.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it was a tremendous experience.
Did you have fun doing it?
I had a great time, and the funny thing is that you know, I never had a drink in my life, but I was the spy that went into the bar. Like, we don't know who this person is, and he's gonna order this drink, and I'm sitting there, and people who know me, they are laughing uncontrollably because they know this dude ain't never had a drink in his life. Just one of the scars from my dad being an alcoholic, right?
Never had a drink in your life?
Never.
Yet,
Never.
Champagne chef. Do you want to talk about that? Okay,
So-
never had a drink in your life, eh?
Okay, so that was one of my handles in my career. So I used to be the chef of a private club. It was a Metropolitan Club. It was a part of an organization, CCA, Club Corporations of America. And this was in the Tech Center, Denver Tech Center. So I'm the private chef of this club, and we had access to the who's who as far as our members in the city. So one of our board of directors, she really enjoyed me, and she gave me that moniker because she says, Keith, you have such a bubbly and effervescent personality. This is the perfect descriptor to you. So she gave me that name, and it kind of like stuck. Okay? So I went over to Japan, and I did a show over there as Champagne Chef, and it was great. It aired over there, got a real nice response. Okay, so I'm thinking, oh my God, I made it. Come back to the United States. Not so much. We have to do another segment to talk about that. But when I get back over here, we did our own show. It was called Entertainment, and one of the segments in Entertainment, I went to schools to go to talk to kids about the importance of eating healthy. And I couldn't go into the schools with the Champagne Chef name because it made it like, okay, you promote drinking to these kids. Keith, I don't think so, not so much.
So tell me, what's next for Chef Keith?
You know, so right now, I'm the chef with the Honey Smoked Fish Company. So it's a local Colorado company, and it's our 30th year in business, and I travel around and I work with our customers and clients on incorporating hot smoked salmon into their menu. So the next thing for me, I have another book on my computer right now. It's 3/4 of the way done, and you know, maybe I'm looking at maybe September. I'll focus in on it and get serious about maybe finishing it off by the end of 2022, and hopefully produce it in 2023. Then I have a show that we have an agent out in California that's shopping it, because that's another goal of mine, is to have a show nationally. So, oh, I recognize that guy. That's him. That's him. Because it's nothing better than, you know, I know who I am. I'm comfortable in who I am. But when someone recognizes you, it breaks down the barrier. Then podcast. So I'm in negotiations right now to start a podcast with a local talent. We're going to do something, and it's going to be fantastic. I already know. I could feel it because we've worked together in the past, right? So I'm all about that. And then my philanthropic side wants to work with kids, some kind of way, shape, or form. I don't know what it is, but in my role as a chef for Honey Smoked Fish, I used to travel around the country and do a lot of demonstrations, sampling, passing out our product, because our number one objective for Honey Smoke is to get the product in the person's mouth, and we do that by sampling. When I would go to these different cities, I would always try to look up a school and let me see if I can bake in a day where I can come and try to give to the culinary program, the future entrepreneurs, whatever it might be, try to share some wisdom with the kids. So that's my thing.
It looks like you're going to be a busy lad in the future.
Listen, it's a full-time, 24/7 job being Chef Keith Denard Jones.
Absolutely. Let's go back to Well Done.
Okay.
Well worth the read. Where do people find it? I'm sure Amazon?
It debuted on the Amazon Top 100. I did some work behind the scenes and boom, came out on Amazon and I have that. So I am a best-selling Amazon author. You sitting up here talking to a best-selling Amazon author. Calm down, Keith, calm down.
If I could, I would go down on my knees. I mean, you know, oh, hail the chief.
Listen, there you go. But they can go to my website, Chef KDJ, my initials, KDJ.com, and then they can purchase one right there. And then I'll even autograph it for them. That's how I roll.
Hold on, mine's not autographed.
I'm efficient like that. It'll be autographed by the time I leave today. And I got some fish on the side for you over there, too.
Holy moly.
Yes. Gifts. The chef comes with gifts.
Chef, it's been an absolute pleasure sitting here and talking to you. But before I say goodbye to I found a beautiful quote in here that you have.
Okay.
I'm just going to read it. Chef Keith is the definition of what happens when passion supersedes all other motivations. Well done will give you a taste of his contagious energy, zeal for life, as you feel his cravings leap from the pages. And that was written by Jim Pike, food industry executive at Honey Smoked Fish Holdings, LLC.
Yes, he's a fantastic guy. I got so much love for Jim. He's my boss.
Yeah.
I have so much love and respect for him, and we work really well together over at Honey Smoked Fish. And being able to promote the brand and be the ambassador is just a treat.
Keith, I hope we are able to get you back in the studio sometime in the near future, because it's been an absolute pleasure sitting here and talking to you.
And the pleasure has been all mine. And I'll tell you, I have a tablecloth and I have an induction burner, burner square. And the next time, maybe we can cook something together. Right here, this is all I need, man. Is a table and a plug. And I know you got all kinds of power around here, so.
Can I be your sous chef?
It would
Because
be
you'll
my
regret
honor.
it. I guarantee you,
No.
you will regret it.
It would be my honor to lay down a recipe with you. We would have a
We will
ball.
do it. We
would
will
have
do
a
it.
ball.
I'm Nigel Aves, your host, signing off for Rational Morsels right here at the Captain's Lounge Studios. Thank you.